In this video, we will see what is an activity in Android. We will also see some concepts or specifics related to an activity. So for example, we will see the activities are entry point of an application and they have a life cycle which we will explore in upcoming videos. Finally, we are going to create a real world project and add activities to it. Then we are going to run the program to see the output. So we are going to start with the introduction of activities. So an activity is an app component. So now the question is, what is an app component? App components are the essential building blocks of an Android app. So we create our Android app with a bunch of different components. So each component is an entry point through which the system or a user can enter your application. And we have 4 different types of app components. We have got activities, services, broadcast receivers, and content providers. In this video, we will be working with activities and we will explore other app components in the upcoming videos. Alright, so first we are gonna understand the concept behind the activities. So we are gonna see why the activities are designed and what sort of problem they address, and what is the difference between a desktop app and a mobile application. The mobile app experience differs from its desktop apps in that a user interaction with the application doesn't always begin in the same place. So as we have seen in a desktop app, that whenever we launch an application, it usually almost every time lands on the same page or on the same screen. Whereas in mobile app, we have a different experience. Let's take an example of an email app. So for example, if we open an email app from your home screen by clicking on the app launcher icon, we will see that we launch on a screen that displays a list of emails. So for example, we land on this screen. And by contrast, if we are using a social media application that launches our email app, we might go directly to a different screen. So for example, we might land on the screen to compose an email, just like this one. So we can see that we might land on different screens depending upon the different scenario. So that is how a mobile application differs from a desktop app. So the activity class is designed to facilitate this sort of paradigm. The next thing we need to know about activities is that it serves as the entry point for an application. So what do I mean by that? So as we have seen with other programming paradigms, that we have a main function and that main function serves as the entry point for our program. So our app launches with the main function, right? And whereas in Android, the system initiates the code in the activity instance by calling specific methods. So in Android, the activity basically serves as an entry point. So we have no main function in Android. One more thing we need to know is that an activity provides a window in which the app draws its user interface. So we can say that an activity has a UI, and that UI is defined in the XML file associated with the activity. And we are going to take a look at it later in the video. We have this login screen on the right side, and it's an example of a login activity. It has a user interface containing a login text, 2 input fields to enter email and password, and a button to log in. So this login activity can serve as an entry point for our app. So if we click on the app launcher icon, we always land on this screen. So that's why we can say that activities are entry point for our applications. We have some more ground to cover regarding activities before we move on to the coding part. We have seen that most apps contain multiple screens, so that means that they comprise of multiple activities. So typically one activity in the app is specified as the main activity, which is the first screen to appear when the user launches the app. Each activity can then start another activity in order to perform different functions. So for example, the main activity in an email app may provide the screen that shows the inbox. From there, the main activity might launch other activities that provide screens for tasks like writing email and opening emails. So one last thing, for our app to be able to use activities, we must declare the activities and certain of their attributes in the manifest file. So we have to register our activity in the manifest file, and we're going to take a look at the manifest file in the upcoming videos. Okay, so that's it about the introduction to activities, and now we are going to see how we can create an activity in Android Studio. So I have opened Android Studio and I have already set up a project, and we can see that we have a main activity. So this main activity will serve as the entry point for our application, and we're going to see that in a while. And this main activity also has an associated layout file, and it's called activity_main.xml. Now we are going to create a new activity. So what we are going to do is we're going to click on the file, new, and then we are going to select activity, and we have different types of activities to choose from. So we will be going with an empty activity for this project. So we are going to name our activity and we are going to call it example activity. And we are going to generate a layout file for this one. So we will leave it as checked. By checking this option, the activity will have an associated layout file. And the layout name will be activity_example. We are not going to make it a launcher activity as we have a main activity as our launcher activity. And the source language is Java, and I'm going to click finish. So our example activity is all set up, and we can see that we have example activity.java class file, and we have an associated activity_example.xml layout file. So currently we have two activities in our project, and we can see that example activity and a main activity. Now we are going to take a look at the manifest file in which we have our activities registered. So I'm going to click on this manifest folder, and this is the Androidmanifest.xml file that we are going to take a look at. So I'm going to open it, and here we have the application tag which represents our entire application. And here we can see that we have an activity tag and we have another activity tag. So inside of the activity tag, we have the name of the activity, and this is the only required attribute. So we have a main activity and an example activity as our registered activities. So inside of the main activities intent filter, we can see that we have an action value and a category. So we have an action of main and a category of launcher. So that means that our activity will be launched, and it will be the first screen to become visible to the user whenever we launch our application. So we are going to take a look at the manifest file and all of the attributes later in some other video. And now we are going to run our application to see the output. So to run our program, we are going to click this play button, and our program is now up and running. As we can see, we have the main activity launched. One more thing to note is that we saw that activities are entry point for our application. So I'm going to launch an activity from the phone's main menu. So I'm going to open it, and I'm going to click on our application, which is this one right here. So I'm going to click it, and we can see that our main activity is launched by clicking on the home icon. So that proves that activities are entry point for our applications. And our main activity is launched because it has the action of main and a category of launcher in its intent filter inside the manifest file. So only that activity will serve as the entry point for our application. So that's it for this video, and in the next videos we will take a look at the manifest file and we will explore more advanced concepts.